How could a minibot be one of my favorite 2026 releases so far? Find out inside. Plus, tips and display ideas and a full spotlight of Studio Series 86 Windcharger that you won't get anywhere else. Only at Heroic Nonsense. Let's go. We finally have the full original lineup of the 1984 minibots, and what a way to end. Studio Series 86 Windcharger, in my opinion, is probably the best recent release of that first team of minicars, and that's saying a lot since I never owned the 84 version. You gotta love any iteration of a Trans Am, so right off the bat, that's a winner for me. But more importantly, this release of Windcharger as part of the 1986 Studio Series lineup just looks so great in both modes, is actually bigger than I expected, and is a lot of fun to transform. Lots to see in this week's review, plus a tip for all of you who like to keep your weapons on your bot but hidden when in alt mode. So let's transform and roll out into this week's Studio Series 86 Windcharger Spotlight. There's so much to like about this little bot, who's in truth not so little. While he may be pretty basic in colors that don't necessarily pop, Windcharger has a really nice shiny red paint that totally fits into the 86 aesthetic. I also really appreciate when the engineers come up with interesting ways to transform this figure, and Windcharger 100% has that covered. Just check out those legs with the wheels hidden inside, which is quite innovative and looks really cool, even with a bit of empty space around it. From an initial glance, Windcharger totally gives off the premium quality vibe, especially for a figure of this class. I could see some people complaining about the legs, perhaps preferring a more streamlined look from this angle. In my opinion, this design choice is a bit more dynamic and interesting. And it's really only noticeable from the side angle. Otherwise, everything else cleans up nicely, coming together to make a great little bot. Not 100% sure why they left that space in his chest, other than to allow for the gimmick he comes with. Don't think it was necessarily needed, but it doesn't take away from the figure. As for the head, I generally like the shape and the outer casing, but I go back and forth on the facial features. Generally though, I think I do like it. As for that gimmick I was speaking about, he comes with an electromagnetic blast effect that attaches to that space in his chest. You can see here how it ultimately looks and connects from the side, though I don't remember it emanating from his chest in the cartoon like it does here. Looking at it now as I put together this spotlight, I actually think it's not too bad of an accessory and could actually be fun for play and display. As for posability, he is built a bit different, so you get a different range of movement options with Windcharger. His walking one looking the best and easiest to recreate. I actually think he's one of the cooler looking bots when placed in this walking position. Looks like he means business. The running pose looks pretty good as well. He was surprisingly easy to balance on one leg actually. You just really need to find that right body position, but otherwise pretty straightforward posability. I did have a hell of a time trying to bend his legs into a crouching position. This was the best I could do. And it's mostly due to his engineering. At the same time, I do really like the look of his inner legs like I said earlier. Love the way the wheel fits inside but can still be seen. Overall, I just really like the way they designed this figure. Compact with some innovative features which as we'll see are enhanced by his really great looking car mode as well as the fun way he transforms. A great little figure to have in your collection, especially for G1 and movie enthusiasts. As much as I like the bot mode, it's really Windcharger's alt mode that does it for me. While it's generally supposed to represent an 80s Pontiac Trans Am, it exaggerates those features in this version as it did in the original 80s one. However, if anything, it adds to the great look of Windcharger's car mode and even, dare I say, makes it more appealing. I know I've used this word a few times already, but it's just fun, as simple as that. A couple of parts could have used some smoother edges, but overall it all comes together nicely. Not sure if that step in the roof was intentional or the outcome of the engineering, but would have expected it to be flush. This is one of those alt modes that actually looks great from every angle, and amazingly captures the feel of the original really well, most apparent here. The front is very nicely designed with some silver highlights for the grille, which actually reminds me a lot of Transformers Prime Cliffjumper here. Again, I love how compact the car is without taking away too much from its realism. It's not meant to be a one-to-one replica of the actual Trans Am, so once you get past that, you can really enjoy this mode for what it is. The back looks really great as well, with the hatched 80s era coverings for the window. This shot also showcases those extra big wheels in the back, which just look so good. You can attach the electromagnetic energy burst accessory to his front grille in this mode as well. Doesn't look the best from this angle, but I chalked this one up as being a bonus, something kids can enjoy playing with. Still, looks kinda cool from the front, especially if you want to make him stand out from the rest of the minibots. As for his laser, you can clip it under the car on one side, which gives it this look. Not terrible, but not great. Perhaps if there were two, or it could be placed in the other direction to act as an exhaust, I'd be fine with it. You can play around with it a bit to position it the other way, but it doesn't stay on as tight or straight. My solution for the laser, hide it away in between his legs and the rear window. You can hardly notice it here and would need to flip the car upside down to even get a glimpse of it. All you have to do is place it in the makeshift trunk as you're transforming him into his alt mode and close it up. I'll show you exactly how to do this in the transformation section, so make sure to check that out for the full tip. And voila, no visible way of knowing that Windcharger has his laser on him, which is exactly what you want if you want to keep it close by while he's in his alt mode. My verdict? Love this little car. I mean, just look at it. It's got great details, honors the original 80s version, and just hits all the minibot notes you'd expect. Wait until you see how well it works with the rest of the Studio Series lineup in a bit. Alright, let's jump right into the comparisons. And we'll start biggest to smallest, using Optimus Prime as our leader class. Don't mind the Megatron arm, I decided to use my MD005 version here for the hell of it. But look at how great they scale, I love this look. As we move down the list, you get a better idea of how big Windcharger actually is, not too shabby height-wise next to SS86 Ironhide. And even closer in size to Jazz. This is another reason why I think he's such a great addition to the Studio Series lineup. He's not too small, but also still generally in scale with the other Autobots. As for the other mini-bots, he's about the same size as the more recent versions, though slightly bigger than Bumblebee and Cliffjumper, and I'm not using the most recent SS86 versions of them here. One final one, Studio Series 86 Thundercracker, which is such an amazing looking G1 cartoon inspired figure. Again, Windcharger looks really good in this scale and style as part of this line. I'll show a lot more of the mini-bots together in the display and build ideas section later in the spotlight, but this gives you a taste of how they look displayed together. As for Windcharger's alt mode, let's start smallest to biggest this time using Goldbug as our first comparison bot. He's got more of a realistic design to him, but they both still line up well with each other. The minibot trucks are a bit on the small side and meant to be that way, so suspending your disbelief a bit, the minibot trucks look right at home next to Windcharger. Windcharger actually looks pretty great scale-wise next to SS86 Ratchet and Ironhide, as well as Optimus. He looks a little less mini-body for some reason when placed against the more realistic looking designs of Studio Series figures. We'll quickly go through the comparisons from this angle as well to give you the overall impression of how he squares up against a range of Autobots from the recent Transformers lines, throwing in a few different mini-bots here to keep it interesting. Still really like the way he looks next to Studio Series 86 Ratchet and Optimus Prime, my favorites of the bunch. I'm just showcasing these two together in car mode simply because I think they look and scale well next to each other, though Cliffjumper definitely has a more realistic look to him. Will be interesting to see how they compare once the new Studio Series 86 Cliffjumper is released. Again, we'll see more of these mini-bots displayed together in the display and build ideas section of this spotlight coming up soon, so just giving a preview. Side note, Beachcomber was always my favorite mini-bot along with Warpath, but I feel they made him too big in his recent iteration. Anyone else feel that way? Let me know in the comments section if it's just me. Back to the Studio Series lineup, this time with Optimus fully transformed with his trailer, and look how great these two look next to each other. Like honestly, straight out of the 86 movie. In fact, these four look fantastic together and makes for a great mini display as well. And in case you're wondering whether Windcharger fits into Prime's trailer, he most certainly does, perfectly. I'll show you how great this display idea can look towards the end of the video. Make sure to check it out, one of my favorite display builds. Before we leave this section, let's check out how SS86 Windcharger stacks up against the original, though I am using the reissue tailgate here since I never had the original G1 version. Completely different styles and scale, but SS86 Windcharger is clearly a nice mix between the toy and the cartoon version. You can really see the similarities in his alt mode though, down to the back wheels, oversized tires, sloped roof, and overall design. A few minor engineering and style tweaks here and there, but they both totally carry the same look. Check out that same gap between the door and back wheel. It's great when designers draw inspiration from the original versions. It's like a love letter to the original, and that's what us G1 fans truly want to see. It makes these figures not only great toys in and of themselves, but beautiful homages to our childhoods. And still gotta love that totally 80s back window covering. Who misses seeing that style on modern cars? And a quick bonus, my GoBots Street Heat figure, who was definitely one of my favorite GoBots and who is missing his arm. But why am I adding him here? Well, because he totally reminds me of Windcharger and vice versa. That was the first thing that popped into my head when I saw Windcharger's alt mode. I mean, it is pretty uncanny how much these two feel the same, separated by over 40 years of engineering and design. If I was a kid, I'd totally be teaming these two up in my storylines. Twins like Sunstreaker and Sideswipe for sure. And yes, I had a bunch of GoBots that I truly loved and used as part of my Transformers battles. I'll have to do a spotlight on all of them at some point. Finally, the three together, with Studio Series 86 Windcharger being a perfect blend of the two, I'd argue. And since we're on the topic of original minibots, stick around right after the step-by-step transformation section to see all my original minibots next to their updated iterations. As I said earlier, this is a fun little transformation, so let's get right into it. Alright, so let's first start with the fists, which we're going to push up backwards 90 degrees. And then we're going to lift this part up. So the trick here is lift the bottom part up a little first, and then the top, it pops right out like that. And then just lift it up a bit so there's some space, because what we're going to do is place the arms inside of that spot. So we'll push both arms up. We'll flip the wheel hub around like this for each side. And then we'll just try to get it right under this fake window. Well, partially fake window, because the sides actually form the windows of the doors. So then once you get those in, you can see how the fists are sticking up. We'll just close up this part again. And now we'll move to the last part, which is essentially the legs. So we just lift this up. This part's actually really cool. I really like the way they designed it. Flip these wheels out. And then this whole bottom part forms the top of the car, the whole thing. So just I like to click it in at this point. Once it's all clicked in, all you have to do is rotate the whole piece up. You see, it forms the hood, the roof, the back, everything. And then you just have to click it in. And then make sure everything's nice and tight and lined up, and that's pretty much it. It's honestly a really great little transformation. And I'll just show you quickly that tip I was showing about where to place the laser if you don't want it sticking out anywhere. So just lift up this whole top compartment, take the laser, find a spot for it in the trunk, essentially, and then close the whole thing back up. And it's actually nice and secure inside. It won't fall out, and it's hidden away perfectly. Let's check out some display and build ideas now, and I'll just note it here, this is probably going to be one of my most colorful display idea sections I've ever showcased in my videos. There's no way we weren't going to start with a go-to display, and that's of all the original 80s minibots. These guys just look so good together. How could you not want to display them this way? And while the original 84 lineup just looks so awesome next to each other, you just gotta add in the rest of the minibot team as well. Now that's a display. And we'll even throw in Goldbug here, ignoring the timeline chaos this would cause. We'll either display our minibots in two groups, the original 84 minibot team with the other 84 Autobots and the rest in their own display, or as one full display. Which is your favorite? You can't deny this combination looks incredible though. As for the alt modes, I don't think having them separated out in years of release hits home the same way as when in bot modes. Though I guess from the right angle and shot, this could make for a pretty awesome display. Might need a bit of reflective surface though to add that extra touch. But it's definitely more fun to place them all together if you wanted to keep them transformed this way. I mean, I always felt that the minibots were their own little subgroup anyway, so to display them in their alt modes together 100% totally works. I do really like Windcharger with the true 86 lineup though, and so we will likely keep him with this group in bot mode. What I would really like is some new designs for Sideswipe, Prowl, Bluestreak, and Wheeljack in the Studio Series 86 line, though I feel this version of Sunstreaker still works. For now, I'm keeping Earthrise with the 86 series, but I don't know for how much longer. Like I said, the 86 lineup just looks so great together. Perhaps we'll at least get new designs for the rumored or not so rumored Studio Series 84 lineup, which would be amazing. This is just a fun one of Optimus walking with Windcharger, since I really like the way Windcharger looks in that pose. You could totally make up a great 80s cartoon storyline here where Windcharger is angry with Prime and the Autobots for some reason and is contemplating his future with his teammates. My favorite display though using Optimus is him transformed with his trailer ramp open and Windcharger revving up his engines inside. Finally slowly backing out of the trailer, already having just been transported by Optimus to the Decepticon war zone. Again, all four of the Studio Series figures look amazing together in both bot and alt modes, especially in a dynamic display like this. Different ways you can play around with this concept though, having some of the bots in robot mode as well. Or even adding in another car, in this case Jazz, having just backed out of Prime's trailer right before Windcharger. And finally, as promised, my 80s originals and some re-released minibots with their modern day counterparts. A totally fun and colorful way to line up these guys together. Can you guess which ones here are original 80s versions or recent re-releases? I'll give you a hint. 3 of these are originals, though I do have a 4th not shown here that is a bit damaged, so has been replaced with a re-release. Regardless, this is a really great way to display your old and new Transformers together. I like this display idea so much that it's inspired me to start looking for the rest of the original 80s minibots. I like the Transformers box art a lot of the time, but do prefer the more typical drawn comic book style art. This one of Windcharger is pretty nice though, especially the art of the alt mode. Side art is a close-up of the front panel, so nothing new. Not sure what I think of the face though, can't decide if it works based off of the cartoon design. Always appreciate the movie art included on the back for the SS86 packaging, and the character one-liners they've been including. I believe this represents the destruction of Autobot City, where Windcharger was apparently killed off-screen in the movie. So that brings us to the end of this week's spotlight of Windcharger from my favorite Transformers line, Studio Series 86. Let me know your thoughts on Windcharger in the comment section and whether this minibot surprised you. I have some new Transformers that just came in, so we'll be getting to those soon enough. And be sure to come back for more Transformers action because there's lots more on the horizon. Thanks for watching, and remember, it's all such heroic nonsense in the end.
Transform!